Today I'm excited to share something about minimum wage. There are two things which are here today. There is the executive order from President Biden about the rising of the minimum wage to $15, and there is the issue of the bill which is going to the Congress for the minimum wage to be increased to $15. What makes the difference between this executive order and the bill which is going to the Congress? Why there is executive order, what executive order covers, and what is not going to be covered into the bill which is going to be in the Congress. That's number one. Second part of this one, I want to explain about what is the current federal minimum wage, meaning federally you cannot pay below this amount. And then there is a minimum wage state by state. Each state has to give at least not below the federal, because if you give below the federal, is a crime. You have to be that one and above. Then again, each city has different minimum wage based on where the city is, the cost of living of the area. But now, this bill, which is kind of like part of something 2019, was created but was not introduced into the Congress to increase the minimum wage to $15. There are so many arguments on that, in support of that, and there are so many good arguments also in against of that. So before I continue, I would like to ask you to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and remember to click the notification bell, then click the like button so that the YouTube can be forced to share this video to other people. And this is about money, about minimum wage. So, the current federal minimum wage is $7.25. That one has been there in a long time. It has been that way I don't know, for more than 15 years now, I think. It has been there for a long time. So, if that is the minimum wage, then you can go, that is the federal, that is, no one will be ever to be paid for that one. So, then it comes to the rates of minimum wage between the federal and the rate of minimum wage to the state. As I said, to the state, each state will provide their own minimum wage based on where or the cost of living. There are some of the states, their minimum wage will be exactly the federal one, but you cannot give below the federal one. I can give you some of the examples here. Alabama, we know Alabama, the cost of living is very low. The minimum wage is $7.25, which that is exactly the cost of the federal, the minimum wage of the federal. I'm explaining this one because when it comes to the second argument of the executive order and the new bill, how the Alabama will be affected by rising from $7.25 to $15. What will that be? Alaska is $10.34, so it's above the federal minimum. Arizona, $12.15. Arkansas, $11. California is $14. That is for all employers with 26 employees and above. The minimum wage must be $14. Colorado, $12.32. Connecticut, $12. From August this year, 2021, is going to be $13. Delaware, $9.25. DC, from beginning of July this year, will be $15. Florida is $8.56, and from September 30th of this 2021 is going to be $10, and it will be increasing $1 each year until it reaches $15 in the year 2026. So that is good one. I will come to explain when I come to talk to the body. So for instance, Hawaii is $10, Guam is $8.75. It's going to be, yeah. So, Kansas, for instance, its cost of living is low, is exactly $7.25. Iowa, $7.25. Kentucky, $7.25. Louisiana, $7.25. So, the states which, like Mississippi, $7.25. So, there are states which provide exactly the minimum wage. North Dakota, North Carolina, Ohio is $8. So, Texas is $7.25, Utah $7.25, so Tennessee. So there are a lot of states which provide the minimum wage to be that amount. So, as I said, there's a federal mandate, which is $7.25, but each state will decide based on the cost of living and what guidelines they prefer to have. So, Biden has signed the executive order. But this executive order, first of all, is to force the federal. So the executive order is federal. You cannot put the executive order to force all states to give the minimum wage of $15. You cannot do that as a president. That's why this is divided into two areas. The first part is the executive order to the government, to the government contractors, because there is government employee who are salaried, they get salary, and there is, by salary, that means they know you get $50,000 per year. And then there are contractors who are going there maybe to do cleaning or do something. So there is a minimum wage for the contractors. So no matter what is stated, so the Biden's administration has provided the executive order. So President Biden has signed the executive order to rise the minimum wage and expanding the leave to improve the life of the workers. But this is for federal agencies. That's number one. I will talk about that. And then they are creating, so they are going to reintroduce the same bill which was 2019. They have added some few things, is going back to the discussion. This one will be for every state to have, whether you are private employer or whatever. We are going to talk about that one. So let me go to the executive order of President Biden. So the statement says as follows. This was on 22nd. Today, President Joe Biden took action to put the federal agencies on path toward raising the minimum wage for federal employees and contract workers to $15 per hour, providing with emergency paid leave and restoring essential collective bargaining rights and protections to federal employees. So that one. So the government should be a model. This is the statement. The government should be a model employer by taking the first step towards raising the minimum wage for federal workers to $15 per hour. President Biden will improve the lives of hundreds of thousands of Americans. So they explain everything in that particular order. So that one is within the government. But when they say they are going to raise to $15, it is not like from the day he signed that executive order, that day everybody will be getting $15. There is a time to raise the minimum wage until certain time. That one has been clearly explained into the bill which is going to be introduced. So Democrats to introduce the minimum, to raise the minimum wage to $15 by the year 2025. So in the next 4 years, 2021, 20 whatever, up to 2025, there will be the annual increase of maybe $1 or something until it reaches $15. So people want to make it easy, because someone when the title said Democrats to introduce the minimum wage to $15, and now you get maybe $10 or $8, you are thinking that it will jump today until $15. No, it is the $15 minimum wage by 2025. But again, remember, there are states which are already giving maybe $13. So they will start going in that way. The state which will be giving the minimum $7.25, the current federal, by 2025, there will be no state which will be giving $7.25. It will be going to $15. That's what they mean. That's number one. So this is what it says. Okay. In order to pass that one, obviously it has to go through the House and then Senate. And the Senate, up to now, there are 38 Democrats have co-sponsored the bill. So which one we hope that it will be able to go through. But this is a very big battle. Why? Because there are arguments to support this one with research, and there are arguments against that one. The argument to support that one is obviously the minimum wage by law is very, very small amount, and it has so many years has passed. The cost of living has been changing. We know that. And by doing that one, you are going to increase the the families the power to survive in this economy, the power to purchase things, so the economy will be able to grow. And they have given how many jobs will be able to rise. So that is number one. If you rise that way, you can be able to do that. There are some of the employers, for instance, Amazon in a federal way, they have already increased the minimum wage to $15. Whether, remember, the Kansas or Missouri is just like $7, $8 minimum wage. But Amazon, if you started the job in Amazon, like warehouse, doing anything, you are starting with $15. So Amazon and Target, these are the bigger companies, they have already started giving the minimum wage of $15. There are some of the companies, they have the plan to continue to do that. But there are arguments which they are against that. And some of these arguments are very critical. Number one, we know the pandemic has destroyed most of the small business. So the question is, how can small business be able to employ people for $15? So in the end, they say that it's going to end of a lot of people lose jobs, up to 1.3 million people, because many companies, so if you had 3 employees, you are going to have 1. So many people lose the job because the employers cannot be able to afford to have more employees. That's one, which is a very good argument to that. So another part is, apart from losing jobs, is there are states which the cost of living is very, very small. Like you see, I've mentioned some of the states. I'm giving example, Alabama, the minimum wage is $7.25. I gave like the example of Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana. Those are Mississippi. Those kind of states, the minimum wage is $7.25. The cost is very low. I'm giving some of those examples. So you cannot give the same someone who lives in San Diego in California and someone who live in Kansas, especially let's say you are in the rural area, the same amount of minimum wage. So that's why they say they cannot be able to afford. So there are arguments people they support, there are arguments people don't support it. So it's a very big battle in both sides of the coin, which all have very good points to explain why they think that one is a good idea. Some they think that one is not a good idea. So let's give the example. I want to give just some of the examples. If this one, remember, most of the economy of the United States depends much on the small business. So the point is about how the small business will be able to survive in this kind of situation. So these are the arguments. Democrats want to raise, and they say that no one in America should work for 40 hours a week, making below the poverty line. And that is the statement of Joe Biden, which he made when he was introducing this one. Working full-time at $7.25, a worker would earn about $15,000 annually. With one dependent, the worker would live below the federal poverty line. There is a federal poverty line at a $15 amount per hour. A family of 4 would be slightly above the poverty line according to the government guidelines. So that is the first basis on how you can be able to see how do you define poverty and how do you be able to continue. So, but the Republicans, they say, if the federal government mandates a universal $15 wage, many low-income Americans will lose their current jobs and find fewer job opportunities in the future. That is according to from representative from senator from Pennsylvania, Republican. So that is one. But what are the businesses saying? The businesses are saying, for instance, Walmart, the CEO says the nation's largest, which is that one, their minimum wage is $11. But they say they agree that $7.25 is a very small amount. It's too low. For them, they give 11, but they say raising to $15 per hour is too high. Target and Costco, they have already given their employees, and Amazon obviously for $15 per hour. Starbucks in December has already started giving minimum job to $15. So economists, they say it will be going up or it will be going down. So let's wait and see. So there's something news I want to share, but it will be going until later 2025. Thank you so much, everyone, and goodbye.